Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive.
hmm
Today we're looking at France, and well, not really France itself, but French innovations.
Yeah, we're going to be taking a deep dive into all the different ways that France has really changed the world through its inventions.
That's right. We often think about like French food or art,
Right,
but those are great,
of course.
but we're going even deeper,
Exactly.
looking at how French innovation has like literally shaped the way we live.
Yeah, it's amazing how some of these inventions that we take for granted today, they completely revolutionized the world back then.
Yeah, okay, so I think a great place to start is cinema.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, could you imagine like living in a world without movies?
It's hard to even fathom, right?
Yeah, like no big screen adventures or, like documentaries that can transport you anywhere in the world.
It'd be a much less visually stimulating world for sure.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that this was actually the reality for everyone.
Right.
Until 1895, when these two French brothers, Auguste and Louis Lumière, they invented the cinematography.
Oh, yeah, the cinematograph, it was groundbreaking. I mean, it wasn't just a
It
camera.
was like everything all rolled into one.
It was a projector, a film developer. It was a whole system. And you can imagine what it was like for the first audiences who saw it.
Yeah.
You know that famous film, La sortie des ouvriers des usines Lumière?
Oh, yeah.
Just workers leaving a factory, but suddenly they're moving on a screen.
Yeah, I bet people were like, what is this sorcery?
Right. It must have been mind-blowing. It was this moment that just completely transformed how we tell stories, how we document history, and really just like how we experience the world.
It's true, because before that, if you wanted to like experience a story, you had to either like read it
Right.
or see it acted out on a stage.
Yeah, it was very limited.
But the Lumiere brothers, like they gave us this power to capture reality.
To literally freeze time.
Yeah, and relive moments over and over again.
Exactly. And it wasn't just about entertainment either.
That's right.
The Lumiere brothers really saw the educational potential in their invention. They filmed everyday life, they filmed scientific experiments, they even had travelogues.
Wow.
I mean, they were sharing these like glimpses of the world with audiences all over.
Yeah, it's incredible to think that their invention really laid the foundation for the entire film industry.
It really did. From silent films to talkies to, all the CGI-filled blockbusters that we love today.
Exactly.
But even beyond the entertainment side of things, you think about how video technology has changed communication and education and even medicine.
That's true.
It's amazing.
Like even how we connect with loved ones, like across different countries,
Oh, absolutely.
all thanks to video technology.
And it all stems from the ingenuity of these two French brothers.
It's incredible.
It really is. All right, so let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
We've talked about the magic of movies, but now let's delve into a realm that's equally impactful, but maybe a little less glamorous.
Okay, so we're talking about the invisible world of microbes.
Precisely. And this is where another French giant steps onto the scene. Louis Pasteur.
Ah, Pasteur. The name we all know from pasteurization.
Exactly. He revolutionized our understanding of this microscopic world and how it really impacts our health.
Yeah, and his discoveries back in the mid-19th century were like completely revolutionary.
They really were. They changed how we think about food safety and how we prevent diseases.
And he was not always super popular for his ideas.
Oh, no, not at all. Back then, the idea that these tiny little organisms could cause disease, it was met with a lot of skepticism.
Oh, I bet.
People didn't believe it. But Pasteur, through just meticulous experiments and research, he proved that these microbes existed.
Wow. So he's the one that really made that connection between microbes and like food spoilage and getting sick.
Exactly. He really laid the groundwork for what we know as germ theory today.
Wow. Okay, so that brings us to his most famous discovery, right? Pasteurization.
Yeah. And it seems like such a simple process.
Yeah, you just heat something up.
Right. You heat up the liquid and it kills the harmful bacteria.
And this has saved so many lives.
Oh, it's incredible.
Wow.
Diseases like tuberculosis and cholera that were often spread through contaminated milk and water.
Yeah. We take it for granted today that we can just like pour a glass of milk and drink it.
I know, right?
But back then, that was like a risky thing to do.
It really was. Pasteur's work made food safer for everyone.
Yeah. And it led to people living longer and healthier lives.
Exactly. But his contributions went far beyond just pasteurization.
Oh, absolutely.
His research really paved the way for the development of vaccines.
Oh my gosh, that's huge.
It is. Think about it. The whole concept of vaccination, which is, a cornerstone of modern medicine,
Yeah.
it's thanks to Louis Pasteur's work.
Wow. Okay, so for our final French innovation in this first part of our deep dive,
Okay.
we're going to look at something that might seem a little bit mundane,
Right.
but trust me, it's anything but
I'm intrigued.
The metric system.
Ah, the metric system.
Yeah.
Meters, liters, grams.
Yeah, we use it all the time.
It's so ingrained in our lives that we don't even think about it.
I know, right?
But it was revolutionary.
Yeah. And it was officially adopted in France in 1799.
That's right. And it was born from the ideals of the Enlightenment.
Okay, so like a time of huge intellectual and philosophical change.
Exactly. So imagine a world where every single country, every region,
Yeah.
had its own system of measurement.
Oh my gosh.
Trading goods would be a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
Sharing scientific discoveries would be incredibly difficult.
I can only imagine.
Even building something as simple as a bridge would be so complicated.
Oh my gosh, it would be total chaos.
Right. So the metric system, with its simple base 10 structure,
Yeah, it just makes sense.
it just makes sense. It created this universal language of measurement,
It did.
and it fostered collaboration and understanding across borders and disciplines.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that, but it's so true.
Right. And think about the impact on scientific research.
Yeah.
Being able to share data and findings accurately no matter where you are in the world.
That is huge.
It's been instrumental in advancing our understanding of, well, everything.
And it all started in France.
It did. They had this vision for a more unified and rational world.
And now we all use it.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is. So before we move on to our next set of French innovations,
Okay.
I want to ask you as a listener, what stands out to you about these first three? Have you ever considered their global impact before? Keep that thought in mind as we continue our deep dive.
I'm excited to hear what they come up with.
Me too. You know, it's really interesting how these inventions, they seem so different.
Right.
Like cinema pasteurization, the metric system.
Yeah, they come from such different fields.
Exactly, but they all have this like underlying goal of progress.
Definitely. Like this desire to improve the world.
Yeah, and to make it like a better, more understandable place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it really highlights how French innovation has always aimed to improve not just individual lives, but also how we interact as a global community.
That is a great point.
Yeah.
And speaking of global impact, let's talk a bit more about pasteurization.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't always easy for Louis Pasteur.
Oh, yeah. He faced a lot of resistance to his ideas.
I bet, especially from like those established scientists and physicians.
Exactly. They were very reluctant to accept this whole concept of germ theory.
Yeah, because it was such a new idea.
It was revolutionary. And, can you imagine, like, dedicating years of your life to this groundbreaking research,
Right.
only to have people just dismiss your findings or even ridicule you?
Oh, it must have been so frustrating.
It was. Pasteur really had to fight hard to get his work recognized and accepted.
Wow. His perseverance is really inspiring.
It is. And think about the impact his persistence had on all of us. I mean, what if he had given up?
Yeah.
We might still be dealing with all these diseases that are now preventable thanks to his work.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a reminder that progress often requires you to challenge conventional wisdom.
Yeah, you have to be willing to stand up for what you believe in, even when it's hard.
Exactly. And it's a good reminder that innovation, it's not always about like one big sudden breakthrough. It's often a very gradual process.
Yeah, like a series of small steps forward.
Right. And it's fueled by curiosity and determination.
And a willingness to question the status quo.
Absolutely. You have to be willing to say, hey, maybe there's a different way of doing things.
I like that. And, speaking of questioning the status quo, let's go back to the Lumière brothers for a second.
Okay.
Because you mentioned earlier how their invention really laid the groundwork for the entire film industry.
Yeah.
But I think their legacy goes even beyond that, don't you think?
Oh, I totally agree. It wasn't just about capturing moving pictures. It was about capturing life itself.
Yeah, it was about preserving these moments in time and sharing them with others.
Exactly. And in a way, it was like an early form of social media.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting way to think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it was this way to connect people across distances and cultures.
It's like they were creating a global visual language.
Exactly. A way for people to share experiences and stories even if they couldn't physically be together.
And that visual language is still evolving today.
Oh, absolutely. With digital filmmaking and online video platforms.
Yeah, and VR experiences.
Oh, yeah, we're still capturing and sharing moments.
It's just in ways that the Lumière brothers could have never imagined.
Right. It's mind-blowing to think about.
It is. And speaking of communication,
Okay.
let's circle back to the metric system for a minute.
Sure.
We talked about how it was this huge step forward for global collaboration.
Especially in scientific research.
Yeah, like imagine trying to do these complex experiments.
Right.
Or share data with people from other countries if everyone's using different units of measurement.
It would be impossible.
Yeah, it'd be like trying to have a conversation in a room full of people who all speak different languages.
Exactly. But the metric system, it provides that common language.
It does.
It's a shared foundation for understanding and collaboration.
And that's what allows scientists from all over the world to work together so effectively.
Right, to build on each other's research, to compare their findings, and to advance our collective knowledge.
Yeah, it's like this universal translator for science,
I love that.
breaking down barriers and fostering communication and progress.
It really is. And that's really at the heart of what French innovation has always been about,
Yeah.
pushing boundaries, challenging conventions.
And creating a world where knowledge and progress are accessible to everyone.
Absolutely. So as we're wrapping up our exploration of these incredible innovations,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with a thought to ponder.
Right.
What other less-known French innovations might be hiding in plain sight?
Oh.
What seemingly ordinary objects or systems around you
Yeah.
might have French origins? Yeah, that's a great challenge, right?
Yeah.
Like a little treasure hunt for those hidden gems of French innovation?
Totally. And it reminds me of something we haven't talked about yet, like the everyday impact of these things.
Oh, yeah.
Like we talked about the metric system being super important for science.
Right.
But you use it every day probably without even thinking about it.
It's true. Think about like following a recipe or measuring fabric.
Yeah.
Or even just checking the temperature. You're using the metric system.
It's become so normal that we don't even notice it.
Exactly. And that's what makes an innovation truly brilliant.
Yeah, when it just works so seamlessly.
Right. It just enhances our daily routines without us even having to think about it.
Like a well-designed tool that just does its job.
Exactly. And it's true for so many French innovations.
Yeah, like think about how the Lumière brothers basically paved the way for smartphones.
Right. Now we can capture and share moments instantly.
And then there's pasteurization, which makes sure that our food is safe to eat.
It's amazing.
So these inventions aren't just like things we read about in history books.
Right.
They're part of our daily lives.
They're woven into the fabric of our world.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive into French innovations,
Okay.
I hope you're leaving with a new appreciation for all the ways that French ingenuity has shaped the world.
Yeah, it's a legacy that spans centuries.
It does. From the spectacle of cinema to the practicality of the metric system.
It's all driven by this spirit of progress.
Absolutely. And a belief in the power of human creativity.
And remember, this is just a small taste of all the amazing things that France has contributed.
That's true.
There are so many other stories to uncover.
Like the invention of the stethoscope
Oh, yeah.
or the development of Braille.
It's incredible how much they've done.
So next time you watch a movie or drink a glass of milk or even measure out ingredients for dinner,
Okay.
take a second to think about all the French innovation that made those things possible.
Yeah, and maybe even more importantly, let this spark your own curiosity. Like,
Yes.
what innovations inspire you?
Ooh, that's a good one.
What problems make you want to create something new or find a better solution?
Because that's really what innovation is all about.
It is. It's this constant cycle of discovery.
And it's driven by this human need to explore and understand and to make things better.
Exactly. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep that innovative spirit alive.
Because who knows?
Right.
Maybe the next world-changing invention will come from you.
That's what I'm hoping for.
That's a great thought to end on. And on that note,
Okay.
merci beaucoup for joining us on this deep dive into French innovations.
Au revoir.
Until next time, au revoir.